Welcome back to Leeds Lately. Before we get into today's video, if you could just hit that big button down below, that would massively help me out. We are trying to hit 10k before the start of the season, and I really believe we can do it. As well, the Creator Cup is this weekend. If you haven't already, get your tickets down below in the description. leedscreatorcup.com for those. £7 for adults, £3 for children. It all goes to Prostate Cancer UK, and it should be a great family event where there'll be a big game of football at the John Charles Centre between all of your favourite Leeds United creators, and the bar is open now, and there'll be it'll be a good day out. So make sure you go and get your tickets down in the description below if you're available on that date. Today's video, though, we're going to kind of be talking about a little bit about recruitment strategy and a little bit about tactics, basically. The other day, there was a conversation in the Leeds Creator Cup group chat, actually, about the kind of players that we'd been looking at. We've been obviously looking at some point at Habib Diarra. We'd also been looking at Noah Siddiqui, who Habib Diarra is very much of a box-to-box number 8 who would get forward kind of in the wider positions as a centre midfielder, as somebody who would attack the half space and get beyond the strikers and try and score goals and get assists. Noah Siddiqui is a great ball carrier and is somebody who would try to get the ball forward as well, but is also somebody who likes to pick up the ball from the defence and distribute it out to the forward lines more. But now that we're looking at Anton Stach and Sean Longstaff as they're the most recent two midfield rumours, it seems to be that we're kind of looking in a little bit of a different mould. So first of all, Anton Stach is very much a holding midfielder, and he's somebody who is going to sit deep in that number 6 position and play basically as an out-and-out holding midfielder, not really to get forward much at all. And then you've also got Sean Longstaff, who, yes, has kind of played as a number 8, but his best abilities lie in his defensive capabilities. And his fitness and his ability to track back. And this does kind of signal a little bit of a change in intent, really, from what we had last season. So if we just bring up the tactics board here, let me know what you think of this, by the way, as well, because obviously sometimes we do the physical tactics board, but it might be a little bit easier for you to see it on the screen like this. So when we look at it, really, you've got your holding midfielders here. Last season in the Championship, Leeds United often had situations where basically we're attacking like this. You might have your fullback so high and wide that they're kind of out here. Then you've got your number 10 in between the lines trying to help out as well. You've got your 2 holding midfielders, and your 2 centre-backs will be back basically on the halfway line. Let's say that Ampadu's got the ball there. A lot of the time last season, we were thinking, well, hold on a second, this isn't sometimes able to break down these low blocks in this area here. But when you've got a player like Joe Rothwell, who would then, of course, receive the ball and go forward, he would carry the ball forward into this area here, taking out maybe some of these midfielders and opening up space where this midfielder might get pulled out. And obviously a very simplistic version of it, Joe Rothwell would essentially be a box-to-box number 8 who would get a lot further forward than whoever was playing in here, whether it be Tanaka or Gruev, who would then kind of marshal across this midfield area. We shouldn't have brought the goalkeeper that far out. But last season, there's one major difference between last season and this season. Last season, we were the dominant team in nearly every single game we played. Probably, you'd be close to saying every single game we played, we were the dominant side. And therefore, when you're in possession a lot more, you're going to need that kind of movement in front of you for somebody like Joe Rothwell to try and carry the ball or to try and find himself in those areas on the edge of the box. And you can afford to leave just 3 players back. You've got your 2 centre-backs, and then you've also got your holding midfielder as well, and the rest defence became basically a triangle like this. If you don't know what rest defence is, it's basically when you're attacking like this, you can see all your players here. What happens if the ball gets turned over? So say it was last season, Sheffield United centre-back Ahmed Hodzic picks up the ball. What do we look like at the back? If there's a ball over here, are we able to cover that? So you would say yes, with this, you're able to cover that. But in the Premier League this season, you might have a situation like this where you say, well, actually, because we're now going to be the team that is under pressure for most of the time, we're going to need to defend better when we do attack. So our rest defence is going to have to consist of 4 players instead. So you'd actually have Anton, Stach and Tanaka, for example, or Ampadu, whoever it may be in these 2 midfield positions. They would stay a little bit further back with your 2 centre-backs here. And when the ball is being played, you might play it into Goodmanson there. Goodmanson then might play it into Brendan Aronson, and it might come inside, etc., etc. But I don't think we're going to be wanting our midfielders in here to actually get too far forward in a lot of games. They're probably going to want to sit here because if, and it's very likely, this is a Liverpool we're playing against, and we turn over the ball in that situation, if we've got a player forward, Liverpool are very likely to be able to go from front to back very fast and expose us with only 3 players back, because they might have a 3 up front, and it might create a 3-on-3, and we would be devastated by some of the teams in the Premier League if we were doing that. However, if you leave your holding midfielder in here, and yes, it might be a little bit more negative, but people have been calling out for Farke to change tactics and to be a little bit more pragmatic so that we can survive in the Premier League. If you have a rest defence of 4 players like that, then you've always got an overload. So let's say Brendan Aronson's running towards the box, but he gets tackled by Van Dijk. Van Dijk plays it into McAllister. McAllister plays it out wide to Diaz. Liverpool have got 3 players here, but they've got 1 that can go to the ball, Leeds, 1 that can drop in here, and then you've got 2 here that can mark that pass, or 1 that can tuck in there and 1 that can mark that pass. Can you see how much more solid that is than if you had 3 back, and you might have your 3 here, and a 1 long switch, and he's in behind. So I think there's a clear difference this season in the fact that Leeds are going to play with 2 holding midfielders rather than a holding midfielder and an 8. And I think it's for those defensive reasons, like I said, having that rest defence. Leeds are going to have to buy some more quality in the attacking positions, which, yes, I know people have been complaining about the business we've been doing, but this is a general by the end of the window. If we've got our positions covered, we're more going to have to rely on the quality of a player like this number 10, of our wingers, our striker, etc., to create those chances without the help of an extra midfielder coming in here. And these midfielders, whilst, yes, sometimes they might get a little bit further forward, like Tanaka has, but I don't think they'll be running beyond and getting into the box and trying to score goals like we saw Rothwell and potentially if we'd assigned Siddiqui or Diarra like they would have done. I think it's more likely that we're going to see a little bit more of a conservative approach from our midfielders in that they are going to be the guys that you bounce the ball off. So he might not go too far forward, but about halfway inside their half, he's able to get that ball, receive it, ping it back out there. And then it's about the other players being creative enough to create those overloads down the wings, get the ball into the box for whoever it is to go and finish it off. So you can see what I mean here about the kind of midfielder that we are then looking at, because essentially Anton Stach is your Ampadu upgrade / replacement, as well as Gruev. He's that guy that's going to sit in for you as a holding midfielder. Tanaka is a little bit more of a player who's going to get a little bit further forward, maybe halfway inside their half, maybe up to even here. But Sean Longstaff, I feel, is a similar mould of player in the fact that he can do that dirty defensive work, but he is also able to get forward in those positions as well, but not too far, to the point where he can still, having the fitness levels that he does, make those recovery runs to get back if the ball does get turned over and they do start to counter-attack. Because I don't think, if we miss the counter-press, when they win the ball back off Aronson, if we then flood them here to try to counter-press and they break out of that, and you've only got 3 back, you're looking pretty screwed by that. And I think as well, the one last important thing to mention before we end this video is that the fullbacks are a massive important part of what Farke wants to do. So having somebody like Gabriel Goodmanson signing for the club, the idea is that he is going to be able to get forward as much as possible, even in a side that are going to be kind of defensively worried a lot of the time, because you're basically saying, here's your back 4, your 2 holding midfielders and your 2 centre-backs, which is allowing your fullbacks to get so high and so wide and create chances in those situations instead, so that Goodmanson can get down the line, or he can get into that half space and try and score goals or cross the ball across for his teammates. So you can tell there that the idea is give license to the fullbacks still to be as attacking as they were last season, but at the cost of having a more defensive option in the midfield. So that's my take on it. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Shout out Lockie, he gave me the idea for this video just by what he said in the group chat about the kind of midfielders we're looking at. So I thought I'd have a little bit of a look into it more deeply. Go and subscribe to Lockie Leeds if you haven't already for great tactical analysis and scouting content as well. But yeah, let me know what you think down in the comments below of this video. Thanks for watching Leeds lately. I'll see you in the next one, and make sure you hit that big sub button down below, because like I said, we're trying to hit 10k as soon as possible, and the Leeds Creator Cup is in the description down below. It's this weekend. Get your tickets now. Thanks for watching Leeds lately, and I'll see you in the next one.